Hi, this is Brian, and this is a tutorial on This Christmastide, or Jesse's Carol. I don't often do this, but the melody swings around all over the place in this piece to different voices. So I have highlighted the line with the melody with a yellow highlighter. You may want to do the same. It's very important also, as Chris has said in her videos, and I said in my earlier one, I think it's a really good idea for you to go through and number each measure. So 1, 2, 3, 4, rather than just, we'll find things faster. If I say everybody measure 8, you'll just boom, you'll find it much faster. And it doesn't take very long to do. It's very important that you pay attention here. Altos, notice that at the beginning, here, when you start singing, it says second verse only. So make sure that you don't come in when the sopranos sing green and silver. Throughout, you'll notice where I've crossed out R's. The general rule is R's at the beginning of the word or in the middle of a word should be minimized or flipped, like red and gold or red and gold. Story, it's good if you can make it more like a D, story. We want to make R's as quick and as light as possible. And at the end of words, we will almost always just eliminate them. Like this. So, I've added a breath mark here at the top for both sopranos and altos. Sopranos on the first and second verses, altos on the second verse. Nothing in particular here at the bottom of the page. As we get to the top of 14, this is rather an awkward placement because we get here and then we've got to go right back to page 2 or the beginning. Maybe you can see that here. So that's a good little reminder for you to write in. And nothing special about the second verse except now the altos are singing along with the sopranos. And so let's scoot back on over to page 4. Notice your dynamics. Sopranos and altos, your pianissimo, and the tenors are mezzo piano. I would like all the basses to come up and join the tenors here because you have the melody. Let's all take a breath here at the end of measure 18. And I have highlighted these little hairpins. In the addition, you'll see there's a crescendo and a decrescendo. We call those hairpins. So we want to, rather than just truth and love, truth and love. So we're going to emphasize and love. It's a little unusual that it's not in the melody, but we'll probably end up doing it. I think this is actually missing here because if you go to the top of the next page, the editor did include it. I think I'm going to include that there when I go back and remark my score. You'll notice the melody is now switched from the tenors and basses back up to the altos. So tenors, your piano, sopranos, you're now piano, and there was a little crescendo mark here, which I have marked in my red pencil, and altos, your mezzo piano. So you've got to be a little louder than everybody else. Notice we have a hairpin crescendo here, but it's poco. It's just a little bit, so it's not huge. At this point, basses, go back home to your own line here at the top of page 5. And we all have a crescendo, decrescendo on the bottom of page 5. I've rewritten the dynamics a little bit here at the bottom of page 5. Everybody was marked mezzo forte. Well, if everybody's singing mezzo forte, I don't know that we'll hear the melody. So I want the altos to bring it up to forte. Okay? Over on page 6, the main thing is get rid of the R in birth. And everybody take a breath at the end of the first system. Nothing in particular of any consequence at the bottom of the page. Tricky rhythms. Truth and love and hope abide. So we'll have to work on that. Make sure you give it a listen to the recording. And we're now over on page 7. I would like, at the end of the first system of page 7, measure 34, I'd like several altos to come down and sing the tenor line. Here again, I've redone the dynamics. Everybody was mezzo forte, but I'd like the tenors to sing forte. We have fewer tenors, and this is in a pretty high range. But these are very doable notes for the altos. This D in a tenor note is actually the same as this D the altos will be singing. So you're going to sing this at pitch, but it's like singing this D and the second space A's. So it's not low for you by any means, altos. Poco più mosso, by the way, means a little faster. So we're gonna speed up a little bit. Notice the accents here, and here's a tenuto. Let the bells ring loud. The tenuto here in these voices, I think it just makes sure that you don't throw away the word ring. Okay, let's scoot on over to page 8. I'd like everyone to crescendo, or write in the crescendo. The abbreviation for crescendo is written in there, but those just get lost. So actually write in a crescendo. By the way, I would like all the altos to head home here at the end of measure 38 at the top of page 8. So all the altos home, because you've got the melody. Let's have tenors, you'll come back down to mezzo forte, and altos, you are now forte. Altos, no breath here at the top of page 8. Nothing really particular on the bottom of the page, except I would like the sopranos. This is really, it's not quite the melody, but it's the closest thing to it. So sopranos, let's mark you up to forte here at measure 43, and altos come back to mezzo forte. We're now over on page 9. Notice the accents, and I've reinforced those, and the crescendo decrescendo. Sopranos, this gets pretty busy. Now, I've marked this solo, but that doesn't mean it's going to be a single voice. It means I would like the basses to sing this figure, even though the melody is up here in the alto. And by the way, I'd like them to be forte plus. I'd like the basses to sing that out like it's a solo. Okay? Melody is back in the alto. And sopranos, I have listened to this figure over and over, and I believe he goes from this D down to a C here. Anyway, this is the way we need to sing it. Unfortunately, the recording is not correct. There is a decrescendo here. Let's all take a breath at the end of measure 48. And if you've got these notes, sopranos, sing them. Otherwise, you can sing this. Seconds, you are more than welcome to come down and up here in measure 45, you're more than welcome, second sopranos, to sing the melody. so that we hear it, if this is all too high for you, okay? Right here at the end of page 9, I'd like a few altos as needed to come down and reinforce the tenors where they have the melody. We'll see in rehearsal how many that is, and it'll be different based on any different groups. Tenors have the melody. Here in measure 54, I'd like all the altos to head back home. Any altos that went down to the tenor part. As we go to the top of page 11, we're going to slow down quite a bit, rallentando. And then even slower here, ritardando molto. So we're quite a bit slower here, and piano, and I've underlined legato. Meno mosso means less motion. Get rid of the R at the end of silver. We're all going to take a breath here at the end of measure 61. Sopranos have the melody, of course. Top of the last page. There are hairpins here that I'd like to observe. Circle your breath mark. We're going to be even slower here, lento. So we've gone from the eighth note is about 101 to the eighth note is about 76. It's much slower here. Accents. Again, the word crescendo, I just assume you wrote out the crescendo. Let's all take a breath here with the punctuation after abide. This is a little tricky alto. This is a duplet. So, hope abide this Christmastide. I will help you with that. But listen to the recording very carefully. It's not Christmastide or Christmas. It's a duplet. Where you would normally have 3/8 notes, we're going to have 2 dotted eighths to divide that beat into 2 equal parts, rather than throughout the beat has really divided into 3 equal parts. We will work on that in rehearsal. Emphasize the crescendo here, the decrescendo at the bottom of the page. We go clear down to pianissimo. And at the end, basses, if you've got any of these low notes, feel free to sing them. A little crescendo here, tiny bit, and a fermata. And niente means, excuse me, we're going to decrescendo until we fade to nothing. Thank you.